Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us once again on the Vanz Cliff channel, and I'm your host, Ivan. If this is your first time here, welcome. And on this channel, I usually talk about action figures such as Star Wars, Marvel, or anything that is interesting for me. I also do toy haul unboxing videos, which is something that I did on my last video. I also do toy hunting, toy vlogs, and for today, we're doing a toy review. If this is something that you enjoy, start now by subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell so you won't miss anything. It has always been a passion for me to spark interest in toy collecting by giving tips and smarter ways to collect through online videos. So make sure to stick till the end of the video because I will be discussing about accessories, aesthetics, and articulation coming up. Big Bad Toy Store has a massive selection of toys like action figures, statues, and a lot of geek stuff. So make sure to buy your toys at Big Bad Toy Store. I put a link in the description down below, so go check them out. Once again, thank you for joining us on another episode of Who's That Fig? And for today's episode, we're having a look at Boss Fight Studios' Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S Achilles from the Greek mythology. And I've had this figure for quite some time now. As far as I can remember, I got it December of last year from Big Bad Toy Store. And Achilles is actually one of my favorite mythological heroes. So let's look at the packaging real quick. Starting from the bottom, you'll see the Boss Fight Studio logo, Achilles, an image, and Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S logo. At the back of the card, you'll see Achilles, an image, Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S logo, a historical documentation, which I'm going to zoom in for you guys to read. There's also the figures for you guys to collect and the Boss Fight Studios logo. Alright, so let's pull him out of the package and take a closer look. Alright, so out of the package, here's how the figure looks. And it came with a ton of accessories, my goodness. Right, so the figure stands 4 inches and that's about 105 centimeters. Okay, so let's look into the accessories one by one, starting with interchangeable body parts. So we have here a right foot. It is in a hinge in a swivel joint. It is sculpted really nicely and painted really nicely as well. Next would be the interchangeable hands. Alright, so it is in a hinge in a swivel joint as well, and both of which are horizontal hinges. These hands are sculpted really nicely. Let me see if it can. Alright, so the hinges are okay. Next would be the interchangeable head. So we do have a bold head sculpt right here, and it's alright. Sculpted really nicely. It's just a different look. You can actually use this if you're gonna do an army building, and it is in a double ball peg or a barbell joint. So this is actually what I want for Black Series figures. I want a double ball peg on the head because it gives you a very good articulation, and I'm gonna show you that in the articulation part. Those were the body parts. Next would be the weapons. Alright, so let's start with the sword sheath. As you can see, there's a golden color painted, and I don't know if you can see this. There you go. You can definitely see those sculpted details, and it looks really nice. Kind of looks like leather. And if you can just add a little bit of a weathering there, it's gonna show up those sculpted details. That's nicely painted. You can even see this, what do you call this, like a tie or something. It's nicely painted as well. You can see the buckles. Next would be the sword. Alright, it's a pretty nice short sword as well. You can see a silver finish onto the blade and a golden painted hilt. Alright, let's see if it's gonna fit nicely. And that's weird. Okay, let me just. Yeah, that's really snug. That's really snug. Let me see if I can see. That's just hard to remove. I can't even. Okay, there you go. It's too tight, right? It does fit, but it's too tight. Next, we do have a spear. That's a nice looking spear. There's a silver point in here. Let me warn you guys, that's very pointy. We do have a painted black, and there's a gold finish onto the tip as well. It's a nice looking spear right here. And we do have a double hatchet, pretty much identical. You can definitely see a sculpt wood. Actually, this material kind of looks like it's made out of wood, as you can see in the sculpt, right? It's pretty awesome. And there's a golden finish and a silver finish onto the hatchet itself. That's awesome. There you go. That's how it looks. Alright, we also have a stand, a boss fight studio stands, and the figure does stand really nicely. Looks snug. That's pretty snug. Okay. Alright, and last, we still have the helmet, and that's a good looking helmet, painted in gold and black. That's a nicely sculpted helmet right there. Let me see if it's gonna fit nicely onto the head. Looks like it does. That's pretty snug. That's how it looks with the helmet. And of course, the shield. Alright, my goodness, this is a good looking shield. Look at that. Look at that paint job. Looks realistic also with those sculpted details. It's just awesome. If I can just do a black wash in this, it's gonna look really nice. Wow, it really stands out. And this is actually where you can put the hands, which is actually awesome. Let me see if it can fit nicely in here. It's just kind of, maybe this isn't the hand for this. Let me see. Yeah, it's just too tight. Right, let me see what I can do there in a while, but that's just too tight. That's how it looks. Right, let me see what I can do there in a while, but that is just too tight of a shield. So yeah, I guess that's basically all the accessories. So let's look into, I almost forgot, this is also part of the accessory. This is removable. The armor, the body armor, is also counted as an accessory. Okay, you can definitely remove this, and you can definitely see those sculpt, which is very nice, and it's painted really nicely as well. Look at those buttons painted in gold. You can see some gold lining on the shoulder armor as well. This is just awesome. Alright, okay, so let's look into the articulation. And again, starting with the head, look at that. This is the motion when you use a double ball peg in the head. Look at that motion. Right, so we do have a good range of the side to side, and this is how it, looking down, that's as far as it can look. Looking up, not much because of that hitting in the neck part, but that's definitely okay. But you can see the motion, right? That is what a double ball peg does. So that is the reason why I prefer a barbell joint onto the head, because it's gonna give you a beautiful motion in. And this is something that I wish Hasbro can do with their figures, right? Because look at the motion there. That is just awesome. And if you're gonna do like poses, the head movement is very important. Does makes it realistic. So we do have a decent range, all right, onto the shoulders, and we do have a hinge in a swivel, right? So that's as far as you can get, right? And it does rotate 360. It does put you in a V shape because of the shoulder pads, right? But if we remove that, let me see, let's just remove this real quick. What is good with the with Vitruvian hacks is you can customize figures. Everything is removable. You can interchange it with different look, different armor, different weapons. Alright, so there you go. This is how it looks without the armor, and you can definitely see the sculpt onto the body, which is really nice. And we do not have a bicep cut because we do have a single hinge and a swivel onto the elbow. And as for the wrist, this we can use for holding the swords or the spears. All right, this would be perfect. And same goes with the right hand. So we can actually change this since we do have both horizontal hinge interchangeable hands, so we can actually replace this. So when you're holding a sword, okay, so we're gonna do it right now. Actually, we're gonna use the left hand for the shield, so we're gonna put, okay, let me just remove that real quick. We're gonna use a horizontal hinge hand onto the left, so that onto the right hand he can use the spears, the swords, the hatchet. Alright, so now that's perfect. As for the torso section, as you can see, they are using a ball peg in here, and if you connect that, it's gonna give you a decent range. Really nice range actually, but if you overextend it, there's gonna be gap. But basically, if you have this armor, there's not gonna be torso articulation because of the armor. All right, but you can see there's side to side. We have a roll in there. So that's the good thing about a ball peg. It's gonna give you a really nice motion. I wish they could have cut this out so that the articulation is still there. As for the legs, we do have a decent. It can do a T-split, right? It is in a, I think this is a ball peg. I do really think it's a ball peg. Yeah, it is a ball peg. All right, so we do have a decent range in there. That's a T-split. Do we have a tie cut? No, we do not have a tie cut. All right, so it can do a front kick. At the back, it can only do this much. We do have a double hinge knees, and they did a really good job in covering those gaps in there. As for the ankles, it can tiptoe this much, not that much going up, and there's actually no ankle rocker because you only have a hinge and a swivel joint for this. Okay. H.A.C.K.S stands for highly articulated character kit. It is highly articulated. I'm impressed, and I do wish that most Star Wars Black Series figures are like this. Alright. Price point, I think I paid like $25 for these. That's just too much for a 3-inch figure for me, but it came with a ton of accessories, and the figure is highly articulated, so I'm okay with that. But I don't think I'm gonna be doing an armor building. I'll probably just choose the characters that I want. I actually bought a Leonidas, and I'm gonna be doing a review on that as well, so hope you guys can check that out. But is it worth it for the price? I do really think that it is. I'm impressed with this figure, to be honest. The articulation that this figure can do is just amazing. You can definitely do dynamic poses with it, and it came with tons of accessories as well, lots of weapons. This is a good figure. Alright, so here's how it looks with the shield and the sword. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it looks absolutely amazing. Although it took me minutes just to attach the sword into the hands, and I honestly can even fit the spear into the hand, even the hatchet. So it's only the sword that I was able to put into his right hand. And as for the shield, it took me minutes to connect it into his hand. I had to like remove all of his arms and attach it. It's just too tough, guys. I think that's the only problem with this figure, besides the way the sword is to fit into the sheath. I mean, those were the only problems. But when it comes to aesthetics, articulation, this figure is absolutely amazing. But again, I have to admit, when it comes to price point, it is too high for me. It's over the budget. Like I've said, I'd rather just save the money, the 25 bucks on Black Series figures maybe. But hey, if you really like the figure, go ahead and buy it. Alright, and yeah, I think that's actually it. I love the figure. Alright, so I do hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you already did, make sure to hit the notification bell so that you'll be updated with future videos. And again, I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.